Yes, yes. It's recorded. Okay. Now it's recorded. Yes. Mm. So I will give you 2 minutes. I'd like you to read it, the first paragraph, like A, and tell me what you get from it. Okay. So do you have any idea about it? Okay, let's start. When I get the recording? Yeah, sure. Yes. Okay. We have this one. So anyone, I just like tell me what you get from it. It's mainly about what? Yeah. Okay, never mind. Yes. I just like you to communicate, like even make mistakes, no problem. Yes. Because if you don't communicate,
So,
we have the best, like, deep sleep.
okay,
Yes.
okay. What I get from this passage is it's talking about climate change and especially in the Arctic.
The architect, yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, it's saying basically it's saying climate change isn't yet noticed in the globe, but its effects are can be noticed in the Arctic,
Mm-hmm.
and also presents the dangers of climate change in the Arctic and what will happen, the dangers that will happen to us if there is no summertime snow in the Arctic.
Yeah, just, like you said, okay, very good. Uh,
Yeah, I said the Arctic very much. I noticed.
yeah, no, just, no, never mind. This is reading, like, never mind, it's not speaking, so you can repeat it, no problem. The Arctic, like we have the, Arctic refer to the North Pole. To have this one here. Usually, what is challenging? What's most challenging in reading? From your point of view, from anyone's point of view, what is the most challenging?
New words.
Yes, very good. New vocabulary. You're going to have
Yes.
sophisticated vocabulary. So what should you do? Just to try. Inshallah, if it's like too hard for you next time, inshallah, we're going to have techniques to know how to figure out the meaning of hard words, the new word that you come across. So do you need to know all the meanings that you come across in IELTS exams? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So for mostly speaking, you have to have these techniques. What are these techniques? Here you have the main idea. Unusual incidents are being reported across the Arctic. This is the main idea. So basically, like from here till the end, like he tells us about examples of such unusual events, unusual incidents. So here we are, like the first one, Inuit families going up like snowmobile to prepare their summer hunting camps have found themselves cut off from home by a sea of mud. This is the first example. Like Inuit families who were accustomed to living like in ice, like in icy like surroundings. Like when they went camping, when they went getting ready to for their summer hunting camps, like they found themselves cut off because of sea of mud. Like why following early thaws. What does thaws mean? Like when ice melts, this is called thaws. Like the ice melts because like ice melted. So when ice melted, like they were surrounded by a sea of mud. This is an example. There are reports of their ages, even their houses, like their houses made of ice. Even their houses started to like lose their insulating properties. What does insulating mean? Insulation. What does insulation mean?
It's like preventing or something.
Yes, insulation. Like right now in some places, some people like demand that their houses should be insulated. Like, it means like they have this kind of properties that prevent their houses from being affected by the external environment. So if it's hot outside, like indeed inside, like inside they feel like it's warm. It is not cold. If it is hot outside, like they feel it's airy inside. This is insulation. So in the past, ice was strong enough and it had its insulating properties. So they were like living there inside them and they were like warm. They were warm, but right now the ice starts also to like to melt, so the snow drips and refreezes. This is another example. Like lakes draining into the sea as permafrost melts, another third example. And sea like ice breaking up earlier than usual, another example. Carrying seals beyond the reach of hunters. So here all of these are examples of like the unusual incidents that are being reported across the Arctic. You see, so you don't have to understand all the meaning, but at least you should know these just examples, even if you don't understand them fully, no problem. But you know that these are examples of the situation in the Arctic. And then he said, like, climate change might still be abstract, rather abstract idea to most of us. What does abstract mean? It means something which is hard to understand. So it means everyone now, we as people living in the Middle East, we believe that climate change doesn't affect us. We don't see any kind of like such effects right now. Like, not to mention, yeah, I know like it's extremely hot right now, but we don't believe that Alexandria might disappear one day because of the global warming and so on. We don't believe that. And even if we believe that it will happen, so we think it's not now. It is not in the near future. It's for sure far. You know, like, so, but in the Arctic, it's already having dramatic effect. He said, even if we're not affected, you know, in our places, in our location, it is the Arctic is already having dramatic effects. If summer, like he said, if summertime ice continues to shrink at its present rate, like right now, you can Google it, you will see like is the ice in the Arctic is shrinking. He said the Arctic Ocean could soon become virtually ice-free in summer. It means there would be no ice-free. It means no ice in summer. Like it would have no ice in summer. We have this is a very good expression, knock-on effects. Knock-on, you can use it in writing, by the way. And if you like, by the way, another piece of advice, if you like to improve your writing, you can read a lot. Read IELTS, reading passages a lot, you know, and to try to like use its vocabulary, try to use its structure. It will help you a lot in writing. It will help you a lot with writing. So this one knock-on effect, like when you say when knock-on effect, when something causes another thing to happen quickly. That's it. So are likely to conclude more, like he said, more warming, cloudier skies, increased precipitation. Precipitation refers to rain, whether raining or snowing, and higher sea level. When like the sea level increases, what will happen? Like all the lower areas on Earth will be submerged. So here we said scientists are increasingly keen to find out what's going on. Why? What's happening? Because they consider the Arctic the canary in the mine. What does, like, if you think, can you tell me what canary in the mine mean? What does it mean? Canary in the mine, what does it mean? Can you tell me what it means? The canary in the mine? Does anyone know? Just try, give it a try. Canary, like here we have an idiom. Canary in the mine. What does it mean? For global warming.
Isn't canary like a kind of bird?
Yes, it is a bird. Yes. Mm.
Maybe it means like a canary in a mine. It's like moving very fast. If it touches the mine will explode or something.
No. You know, it has, you see, very good, Ahmed. It's a nice try. You know, a canary in the mine. In the past, you know, miner people who were digging, like, you know, looking for gold and other metals. You know, miners, people who were working, like, you know, digging the ground in order to look for metals, gold, and
تعدين
so on. Yes.
معناها التعدين يعني.
Yes, very good. Yes. But here, what does it mean, canary in the mine? What does it mean here, canary in the mine? Like, what is the relationship between the bird and the mine and mining industry? In the past, they didn't have technology. So what did they do? They used to bring a canary with them. Why? Because the canary feels like when there is no oxygen, when there isn't enough oxygen, the canaries in general like faints. Canaries in general faint. So they used to have a mine with them when they went mining. And if the canary fainted unexpectedly, like they knew that there wasn't enough oxygen, so they had to leave immediately. So which means a warning. It's like, you know, they took the canary with them as a warning, you know, a warning to warn them of the insufficient oxygen level. You got it? So here, a canary in the mine, this idiom, as I told you, it has historical meaning. Like, as I told you, in the past, they used to take a canary with them in order to detect the level of oxygen, like in the air. So canaries used to faint when there was no oxygen, enough oxygen. So here, if you don't understand, they say that this is the first time to know this expression. Here we have a dash, and then we have like a warning. So like this idiom refers to what, like the canary acts as a warning of what is in store for the rest of the world. So here we have the Arctic for us. The Arctic, what's happening in the Arctic is the same as the canary in the mine. Like it tells us what is in store for us, the rest of the world. You got it? Okay, so here, usually speaking, if you have something hard, an idiom that you didn't understand, a hard word, we call it punctuation. Punctuation clue. What does it mean? If you have a hard word followed by other words, set of using a comma by commas or by dashes, it means whatever is between the commas or dashes explains the hard word, the hard vocabulary. So even if you think that canary in the mine, like you don't understand it, what he means, so in that case, like a warning. So it refers to the word warning. It is a warning of what is in store for the rest of the world. You got it? You see? So in reading, the most, as I told you, the most challenging in reading, by the way, is mostly the vocabulary. Why? Because unlike TOEFL exams, unlike SAT exams, all the questions of IELTS are direct. Like you are going to find the answer in the passage. The answers are found in the passage. Like you don't have like questions asking for inference or impolite question. يعني مفيش أسئلة استنتاجية، مش هسألك أنت تستنتج إيه أو what does he imply أو الكاتب بيلمح لإيه، مش هيقول. هو فعلا بيكتبوا extremely clearly. هو it requires understanding or me trying to understand or figure out the meaning. Try to figure out the meaning of the new word that you come across. Okay, try to figure out the meaning of sophisticated vocabulary. If you can do that, it's okay, and you don't have to understand every single word. Try to read it, like try to guess it out of the context. So as you see here, you can understand it. Like this is the topic sentence. Here we have examples, and then like he tells us that like if you think it is far, it is not that far. And new scientists are increasingly like keen to find out what's going on. Why? Because what's happening there is like a warning of what's going to happen to us. Now, I'd like you to try to like 2 minutes, try to read this paragraph. You don't have try to figure out the meaning of hard words and tell me what is the main idea of this one. Tell me what the main idea is. Hmm. If anyone is like, done reading it, just let me know. You can write down the main idea. Hmm. Anyone? Hmm. Yes. So anyone? Tell me any idea you get from here. What do you get from this passage? Yes, Ahmed?
So in this passage, they are saying that the most affected people by the climate change are the locals who live in the Arctic,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to stand down and let people tell them what to do. And their best hope for surviving is to combine their ancestral knowledge with the modern science.
Yes, very good. And this is the change in itself. So here we have the Inuit. For us, like we're not affected. We're not that affected right now. We're not that affected, right? We're not losing our houses. We're not losing our pieces of land. We're not losing anything because of climate change. We just feel hot. We just feel hot. But like he said, for the Inuit, the problem is urgent. What does urgent mean? Urgent. What does urgent mean? Who knows what urgent means?
Very important.
Yes, urgent. Like, it's serious, critical. Why? They live in precarious balance with one of the toughest environments on Earth. Precarious in itself means what? Like, when a thing which is shaky or about to collapse, about to fall, we call it precarious. Like, it's insecure, like something which is uncertain. So they try to create a balance with, like, while living in the toughest environment on Earth, and this kind of balance is not even secure. Climate change, whatever its causes, is, you see, this sentence is amazing in writing. Like, this structure is so good in writing. Like, believe me, they appreciate it highly if you write this structure in writing. Climate change is a direct threat to their way of life. Like, nobody knows. Remember, nobody is always singular. Knows the Arctic as well as the local. Locals mean the people who live there. Which is why they are not content simply. What does content mean? It means satisfied. Like, no one knows what's happening there more than them. So that's why they are not satisfied. Like, or just, they're not satisfied about sitting back, standing back, and letting outsiders or outside experts telling them what's happening. And here we know that it's in Canada, the north of Canada. He said, like, jealously guarding their hard autonomy, hard-won autonomy. Autonomy, what does autonomy mean? The word autonomy. What does autonomy mean? Serious, very good, Abdurrahman. So here you have autonomy doesn't mean serious. Like Abdurrahman is writing about the word urgent. So here you have autonomy, like, when you rule yourself, when you feel independent, this is autonomy. like the ability to rule yourself, to rule oneself. This is autonomy. In the countries newest territory, and they believe that the best hope of survival, they think that the best way to survive is to combine their ancestral. This word is so good. I think I'm going to find it in so many reading passages, whether like that or IELTS or whatever the exam is. Ancestor, what does ancestors mean? The word ancestor, here it's used as an adjective, but what does the word ancestor mean? Ancestor. Who knows? The word ancestor, what does it mean?
الأجداد.
Excellent, excellent. Like, great, 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 great grandfather, forefathers, those people who were living before us. We call our ancestors like our great, 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 great grandparents, our ancestors. We call them forefathers, and our offspring, our children, offspring. So the ancestral knowledge, it means the knowledge like that they got from their great grandfathers, like with the best of the modern science, which is it's challenging stuff to combine like the past with like the science, what the ancestral knowledge with the science, the modern science. Here we have it. So in general, what is the main idea here? Like, let's go up and you can tell me which one you think the main idea. Like here, what do you think? Already feel like first of all, like we have to eliminate alarm caused by unprecedented events in the architect. Which one? Hmm. Very good, Abdurrahman. Yes, like the first one, the reaction of the Inuit community to the climate change. This is the reaction. What is the reaction? They are not happy. They're not happy about standing in the back, like standing back and letting other people tell them, letting other people tell them, like, what's going on. They're not happy with that. So from their point of view, the best way, the best hope of survival is to combine their ancestral knowledge with the modern science. So that's it. It is not about understanding climate change remains limited. Like for sure, it remains limited, but like he didn't say that in the passage. In this paragraph, he didn't say that. Alternative source of essential supplies, it's not mentioned here. Respect for the Inuit opinion grows, not also mentioned here. He mentioned that they need to have an opinion. And like they're jealous, like they don't like to stand back or just, to stand in the dark, to sit in the dark, leaving other people, letting other people tell them what to do. A healthier choice of food, food is not mentioned here. A difficult landscape, he didn't speak. Yeah, he said the toughest environment on earth, but like it wasn't the main idea. If this one is the main idea, if it were the main idea, like so the best should be describe the landscape itself. Negative effects on well-being. Well-being means health. He didn't speak about health here. The benefits of an easier existence. He didn't mention like benefits here. He just spoke about the reaction of the Inuit community. Where we can find it, where we found it, like it's here in the middle. So he said that here it's urgent, and then he hears that, like which is not. That's why they are not content simply to stand back. This is this one. As you see here, it came at like it comes in the middle. You got it, but this is the best one. Yes, very good. Now let's move on. Now I'd like you to read C and tell me what you get from it. This one is much easier. What do you get from it? You don't have to understand every single word. Just to try to get the idea, the main idea. What's it mainly about? Hmm. Yes, Ahmed? Yes, very good, Ahmed. Yes.
So in the first section of the passage, they talked about the nature of the Canadian architect.
Yes.
Then in the second passage, they talked about the ancestor of the current locals and the tools and culture they brought with them when they moved to the Canadian architect.
Yes. Very good. Like here we have the
Thank you.
Canadian Arctic is a vast, treeless polar desert. Polar desert. So we have vast. What does vast mean? Huge or gigantic or titanic or like, you know, massive. Like, you know, the word vast means very big, large. Treeless polar
Spacious.
desert. Yeah, it's a desert, but can you imagine an icy desert? Just imagine it, a huge icy desert, you know, covered with snow for most of the year. This is the Arctic, the Canadian Arctic. It's adventure into this terrain, like means like enter it and you get some idea of like hardships facing anyone who calls this home. It means just to try to get there and you will have an idea of the difficulties that people who live there, like, you know, face. Like he said, who anyone who calls this home, home means country. Farming is out of the question. What does it mean? Farming is out. If I said this is out of question, what does it mean?
Can't be found.
It's impossible. Farming is impossible. How can you farm an icy land? Like an icy piece of land. You know, we can never farm, like you can never like, you know, grow plants in ice. You know, we can never grow plants in ice. It will freeze, like, you know. So farming is out of the question. Don't think about farming. Farming is the cause of civilization in on the all over the world. Like when you think about any civilization, it starts with farming. So he said farming is out of the question. Like don't think about farming. We can never farm. And nature offers like meager, like baking. What does meager mean? Like very thin, very small offerings. Like nature doesn't give them a lot because it's already icy. Like it's already icy humans. And then he talk about the historical background, how people lived there, and he said like or just people were able to live there only 4,000 like 4,500 years ago only, and they survived by exploiting sea mammals and fish. They were just feeding, like, you know, they were feeding on like mammals and fish. They couldn't farm, they couldn't grow plants. And then he said the environment tested them to the limit, means the environment was extremely difficult, it was extremely tough. It tested them to the limits. And he said, like he said, sometimes they were successful, sometimes they failed and vanished. Vanished means disappeared, it means died. But he said only around 1,000 years ago, like one group emerged to be successful, to be able to cope with like the Arctic environment. Cope with, remember, cope with means adapt to. Well adapted, like it adapted to and cope with. Both of them have the same meaning. To handle, to deal with. So only 1,000 years ago, like one group was able to be fully successful to live there. You see, they moved moved there from Alaska and bringing kayaks, like, you know, sleds, dogs, batteries, and iron tools. They just, you know, they are the ancestors. Here you have the word again. Ancestors means the, like, you know, the forefathers of today's Inuit people. So now he said here, like, so if you think about it, what is the main idea? So the first part's about description of their place. And then we have like historical background about which is had to do with the people living there, but also like it tells us about like this landscape, or like, you know, let's say like this like environment. So let's go up. So ask yourself, like, does it, like, which one here works? Which option here is like is the right one from your point of view? For sure, you have to eliminate I. We took I and VII. One and like VII. We took them, so eliminate them. So what do you think the right answer is? Impossible. Very good, Abdurrahman. Impossible means out of the question. Yes. Abdurrahman, you answered it. VI. VI. Let's see VI, a difficult landscape. Yes, very good. Yes, very good. Like the first letter is like the first line, a vast, treeless, like polar desert. And like he said, like it was impossible, like farming is out of question. And nature doesn't give them a lot. And people like were able to live there only 1,000 years ago. When people tried to live there earlier, sometimes they succeeded, and then they vanished. Sometimes they were successful and then they vanished. So here it's mainly about like difficult landscape. So in that exam, when you have this one, delete like every question that you have, like every option you took, like just delete it in order to be easier for you. Now let's move on. So here, sometimes if you don't know anything about it at all, if you don't have time, just look for the words even. Look for the words. We have landscape. So here we have description of landscape. Look for some words. Like if you don't have time, this is terrain. It has to do with the territory. We have desert. We have treeless. We have vast. You see, so mostly speaking, you can look for the words of the paragraph. Now, okay, let's move on to D. I will make it smaller so that I'd like to read all of it one time. Here we have this one. Yes. Here we have the word descendants. By the way, descendants is the opposite of the word ancestors. Descendants is the opposite or the antonym of the word ancestor. Descendant means offspring, or
Yeah.
like yes, great grandchildren. You see, grandchildren. So I have this one. Yeah, descendant is the opposite of the word ancestors. If I were you, like if you have the IELTS exam and you'd like to collect a lot of ideas, whenever you have a reading passage, read it, like highlight the hard words and to try to use them in writing. This is it, by the way, it's a good technique. Would you like me to go down? We have just one line down. Hmm. Hmm. What do you get from it? Yes. Any ideas?
I think this passage is talking about the descendant of the immune people,
Mm-hmm.
and they were lived in 1.9 million square kilometers,
Mm-hmm.
and the population number is 2,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
Development their lives there by living 28 society
Mhm.
and provide some food and clothing for their life.
So do you think it's positive or negative?
What?
Is it positive or negative?
What you mean?
Which, like, this passage in general, is it positive or negative? Like, it gives us like
It's positive. They
positive.
adapt with this. Yes, yes.
Uh,
They adapt with
Oh,
this
yeah.
hard.
You see, we have the word abundant, we have the word costly, we have the word scarce, like opportunities are scarce. Here we have the word isolated. You see?
I think
Yes.
this passage is negative because the author is describing how the